Hi, so you're about to engage an architect and you're worried that your costs are going to go up. You're scared that you're not sure how you can keep your costs down with your architect. Today's video is going to talk a little bit about how you can define cost with your architect and how you can seek to keep your costs down. Ultimately, working with an architect should actually save you money in the long run. In most instances, the architect's knowledge and the value that they can bring is likely to add an increased value to your asset, and also they will be able to save you money in terms of managing the project, but looking at ways to be cost effective, and especially when it comes to sort of considering extras and variations and how that can have knock-on impact on costs. They're going to be best placed to advise you on that on a small sort of extension type project in any case. So one of the things that you can do to start with is clearly try and understand what it is you're looking to do. Define your scope, really understand, what do I want from my architect? Do I need just drawings? Because most architects don't provide just drawings. So that's a bit of a myth to start with. Most architects want to be able to add design value, look at things in a creative and a strategic way to establish what it is you're looking to achieve, and in tandem, then kind of structured process to get you there, really. And that can include managing your project all the way through to handover as well. One of the places we see costs escalate is when people keep changing their minds. So going back to point one, where kind of define really what you want, your architect should help to weasel that out with you. If you're not sure, you can just say, well, I want an extension, but you might not know what you want on the inside. Lots of conversations are needed before you can define that sometimes, and that's important. So once you've bottomed out what you want, it's likely that you're less likely to make changes going forward, because every time you make changes, it's not just the kind of drawings that you might need to think about. Statutory applications might need to be updated. You might need to think about updating associated reports. Something small that can look like, oh, but you're only changing that over there, can take a lot of time and thought and process has to go into that. And so that's one of the places where costs can escalate if you're not careful about defining what you want from the outset. The other place where you really want to think about is, how is your architect charging their fees? So we often hear some architects charge on percentage basis, and you want to even define with percentage basis whether that's the construction contract value or whether that is the actual end project value. So if you're looking at a project, if you do make changes and the value of the project goes up, then your architect's fees might also go up. Some architects charge on an hourly rate. Again, you might want to put a cap in place if that's the case, just so you know what you're budgeting for, because what you might think takes 2 or 3 hours can, in fact, by the time it's been sort of considered, thought about, and research, it can take 5 or 6. And so you don't want to be caught in a trap arguing at the end, well, how come that little change on the drawing took that many hours. And the other place where you can look at is fixed costs with your architect. So if you define your costs and define what they are, as long as you don't change your mind, then at least you know what you're budgeting for. So you've got a clear, structured way to pay your architect, and you know what they're paying, what you're paying them from the outset. You may also want to think about shopping around. All architects work in slightly different ways. And so when you're looking at it, be sure that you're getting what you want out of the architect. Some people are looking for something that's a little bit more handheld, and obviously that does cost a little bit of money, but it's likely to save you in stress and time in the long run as well. So being really clear about, what do I want from this team of people that are helping me with my extension, with my house, is really, really important, because that's going to set the ground up for everything going forward. I think that's probably a really good summary of a couple of things that you can think about when trying to keep your costs down with your architect. There are other ways, and there's an article that accompanies this video if you want to have a read of that, which drills on this a little bit more and takes up a little bit more into this.